Hi there, this is Amy, and welcome back to Embracing Essence. Today we have Christine Johnson with us again, and we're going to be discussing global victim consciousness and how, this is a giant topic, and we're going to unpack it kind of from the ground up. We're going to try and maybe give some insight that we don't think about too much just because we're in it. We're always like in life, and it's not like we step back often to like think, why are things the way they are, and how are things operating so oddly, right? And so chaotically. Um, Welcome, Christy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I love our discussions.
Right, I know that can be fun. We were talking a bit before I pushed record, but let's just back up a bit and so I think about how like mainstream right now, right? Like what's the purpose of mainstream, do you think?
It's mainstream to my to me is like the the ideas and information and culture and social information that we as a society are supposed to have.
Yeah, some like building blocks of like how to behave, how to understand things, um, more like information that's out there outside of us that's going on in the world. And I think, it's as you do your digging, you find that mainstream is, a collected effort into pushing an idea, a thought form, a consciousness into the public, into the masses with its broadcasting, right? Like they're
Yeah.
broadcasting information and a frequency out towards everyone to then they take on and either affects them negatively or positively. And often it's negatively, right? With the fear mongering, the worry, the doomsday, the constant negative imagery that we get if you're watching mainstream. It bombards your system day after day after day of watching it, and really does help everyone turn on and stay in that victim consciousness, that where they feel they're powerless, they can't do anything about their situation. um, you know
Yes, fear the fear seems to be the greatest agenda of all the messages that we get from mainstream, and that fear, creates a a cloud around us where it obscures the whole picture, and all you can see is the cloud because you're seeing it from every angle, and there's nothing else informing you if you're only paying attention to the mainstream sources.
Mhm.
So it's extremely limiting, to say the least, and with the trauma that each one of us holds in our bodies, and that fear can really just lock somebody in to the trauma and the past, and stuckness where they're not they're not moving forward and growing and healing.
Yeah, yeah, you touch on something like how everything's energy, right? And how we are affected by our our world and our immediate intimate world, and then our external world, and the external world having that impression upon ourselves. I want to say it's a very frequency based um, structure that I think, I know that the controllers know it's very effective for keeping people in this sort of hive mind mentality of believing and behaving in a certain direction of their wishes, right? Because when you're in that hive mind of fear and of the victim consciousness, you're not able to break through into higher realms of thought, because you're in that the lower realms of like the root chakra. You're in that like survival instinct and survival like mentality of just surviving. And yeah.
Yes, that frequency physically puts us into this mode where it is all about survival, and survival makes us look to the outside. What's coming at me? What do I have to deal with? Where am I going to get my next, feeding, or whatever? How am I going to get my needs met? And that that seeking for solutions and resolutions on the outside is something that we have all been taught to do from our very beginnings. Socially, we've been taught to get all of our needs met from outside sources. And so the mainstream um, the mainstream system would really perpetuate that, where it just keeps our attention out there with the fear, because you never know. You never know if something might be coming this way, something might be coming that way.
Yeah, yeah, distracting. It's definitely very distracting. And having us focus on everything else that's not important. And the keys to like recognizing all of this, while you're in it is, it's hard, I think. I mean, I've been there before, and it's, you're swimming in survival, and breaking through of that massive broadcast, like in just unplugging is, another term that's very commonly referred to as like just exiting that type of mentality. You get a choice of if you're aware of this going on, you have a choice of literally turning the television off and unplugging from that frequency, because it really is a frequency broadcast of control. And so once I noticed a giant difference in my own psyche, my own mental health, well-being, when I turned the television off like 12 years ago, or I should say canceled cable.
Mhm.
All those commercials. Oh my, how did I grow up with them, right? Um, so once you just step away from that broadcast, then you're just in tune to your own frequency and your own connection to source. And of course, this is huge, because this is where we regain our sovereignty. We regain like our knowledge of who we are, and our like, our mission here on earth, of what we're even here to do. Like the whole world opens up immediately. Well, I should not say immediately, but like in doses you can handle, the awakening process happens.
Right, right. And at first, though, unplugging, it can be super confusing,
Yeah.
because we've been conditioned, to look out here, and then all of a sudden we're looking within, and there's all this stuff that we don't really want to deal with.
Right, that we've been unaware of, right?
Yeah,
The
we've been
conditioning.
and subconsciously avoiding it because we don't know what to do with it. And
Yes.
so it can be a, a a big process, unplugging from the fear, and
Yeah.
looking for different sources of nourishment.
Oh, man, yeah, the journey. Um, That's, also referred to as the hero's journey, right? Like as we awaken, we go through the process of purging all of these layers of unconsciousness that we have just been living in and without knowing. We all are there at one point, and then we just get through the point of of making those more conscious decisions to unplug little by little, as much, as much as you can, whenever you can. It's different for everyone, and so of course having compassion. I didn't necessarily have so much compassion for myself in the moment because it was so like crazy, but of course looking out at of everyone, it seems like there is varying degrees. So many people becoming more and more aware, which is so exciting, and it just yeah.
Compassion.
What's that?
I'm sorry, finish your thought.
Oh no, it's fine. It was like it's just empowering to see so many people awakening to their higher knowings.
Absolutely. And the word that you said, compassion, having compassion for where everybody is so so huge. Especially this has become very aware to me in the last few years. Um, it's the fact that we have no idea what anyone has been through in their life and in their lives, and what their soul mission is and what their lessons are. We like, the river Joaquin Phoenix, the Joker movie, like helped me feel this so much, because it told the story of how he got so incredibly twisted, and it was people being mean and brutal to him, and all these rough things, and I just know in my heart that's always the case with
Mhm.
each and every one of us. Like, each of us has that divine spark from the creator. We and like and that spark has its journey, and it does its thing, and God only knows what it's going to look like, let alone me. But it always returns to source. And so, like, if we really really understand that and trust that, we can really have a lot more peace in the world.
Well said. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah. I
you.
like the analogy to the Joker movie. I hope to watch that. Um, but yeah, that's a really, really great to understand why people act the way they do, right? You have to look back on acknowledging the stored trauma. We don't know everyone's childhood, and often it does show up manifesting in negative ways in our adulthood if it wasn't healed. And or as mental illness, often that's probably the most common, depression, anxiety. Um, and that's just inner child wounding that's asking to be healed in
Hmm.
these deep ways of sitting with self and acknowledging and going back, maybe, you know, working with an energy healer to go back and look at these spaces that need reconciled to then release that density, release that hurt and anger, frustration, release all of that, and then making room for the newer, lighter energies to come and help raise vibration. And that's like, that's like the cycle of the ascension. You heal and lift, heal and lift. Um, and it can be crazy at times, right? And but it's so necessary, and this is what we're all doing, whether we're aware of it or not. um, but then yeah, so becoming more and more aware of that wounding, that trauma, that's necessary for healing our psyche, healing our bodies, mind, body, spirit, emotional body, our four bodies. They're all like in equal importance. We only really focus on the physical. We don't look so much on the mental or spiritual or even the mental body. but they're all intertwined so well. And I do think that our emotional body needs so much more attention in society. You know, just as like rising consciousness happens, I think that's going to be the next big frontier of how to assist ourselves in this ascension process with helping heal our emotional body.
I couldn't agree more. Um, our emotions are sending us messages about what needs love and healing and release. And it's our emotions have been so demonized by society, and so shoved into boxes. Like I am a woman. I can only feel and express these emotions, and men can only, it's like it's ridiculous. The fact that we have always been taught to control emotions, and of course, it's important skill to know how to be able to control our breath and control our energy and stuff like that. We cannot control our emotions. They're beyond our control.
Yeah.
And what I've learned, especially in the last 2 years, is that true healing happens when we lovingly witness our emotions and allow them their expression and let them go. Like literally, you can go from feeling despair, rage, whatever, some intense feeling, and just like letting it be. And it's okay, whatever. I'm sure you have a reason to feel that way.
Yeah.
and then and then within 90 seconds, it's gone and you are lighter.
Yeah.
It's amazing when you take the time to witness what is going on inside,
Yeah.
the way a loving parent would have if we would have had such things, you know, or all the time.
Right. Yeah. Reparenting our little child within the way
Really,
we would parent, a new baby, a new toddler. Or yeah, yeah. That was, yeah, well said. Great points. And healing that trauma within in the emotional conditioning of being stoic, like, and not addressing anything that's bothering us because we have to like be, in control. It's like the opposite message of really what we are designed to be. You know, Emotions are energy in motion. And if
yeah,
you don't process that energy at when the emotion occurs, then it's stored on a cellular way inside your body. And those
yeah,
stored up memories of trapped emotion do add this huge weight to ourselves. And
yes,
it weight on our heart, weight on our mind.
yes.
It's really
They,
heart weight.
they block the flow of
Yeah.
life coming through us. Like,
Right.
yeah,
Builds
and
barriers.
mhm, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I see this a lot with doing energy work, and just opening up and be allowing, trusting and allowing again, is where it's at with like in the healing process. I think we froze for a second. What I'll do is go on and talk about the Kathy O'Brien story of her experience of MK Ultra. I know that there's a documentary out right now that is it's a little fee, but you watch it. She has a book that she put out, oh gosh, like 15, 16 years ago. And they have made a documentary on it. Okay, so Christine's back. She froze for a second. But what we're going to discuss Kathy O'Brien's story on MK Ultra, her personal experience with the extreme amount of brain control that she was under her whole life, right? Christine has read the book. I have not. But I'm yet to watch the documentary. I just know a lot about it from what Christine has told me and doing a bit of research myself. But I'm really looking forward to fully understanding exactly what she went through.
Oh, golly. It's mind-blowing, heart-wrenching, and if you're not in the right vibration, traumatizing story.
Mm.
So extreme. She she was targeted for the MK Ultra project because she had been in a multi-generational incestuous family, and the MK Ultra scientists discovered that those were the brains that were most susceptible to this project, to being mind controlled. Complete mind control was the goal of the project, and so from 6 years old on, she was part of this governmental program, and they use the MK Ultra uses our body's natural defense mechanism, that protects us from trauma, to compartmentalize our brain to such a degree that the person is not aware of certain aspects of their lives or experiences they've had.
Yeah.
So they can be really great, you know, they can be great message givers, classified information conveyors, and anyway, Kathy was a presidential model, which meant that she was conducting work at the top levels of government for the president and higher ups. And the book details experiences she's had with Gerald Ford, George Bush Sr., Jr., Bill Clinton, a lot with Ronald Reagan. She was actually kind of his pet. He really liked her. And Kathy had a daughter as well, and that just got swooped right into the system from birth. And I won't give any horrific details,
Right.
but I will just say that within the program, something happens to the brain at the age of 30, and they get rid of all their slaves when they turn 30. And Kathy knew this, and somehow she broke free mentally of, and she sought help from the only trusted person that she had ever come across. And he was, because of his background and tools and heart, he was able to save her and daughter. I believe. I mean, even that is unclear.
Yeah, she has a huge story.
The end of in the at the end of Transformation of America, her daughter was still in the system and being fought over. So I haven't been caught up on the story about what happened with her daughter.
I see. Yeah, around 30. That's fascinating. And that's when we have, what is that called? We have our
Saturn Return?
Yeah,
Is that
I
what
want to say it is Saturn Return around 28 to 30. I want to say
I
that's around
there's
that.
something that happens with our brains, and I think it's like it's something with
Mhm.
higher thought,
It's
or
like
higher
we're
capabilities.
breaching into higher consciousness. That's,
I believe so, and I believe the stories about Jesus say that like he didn't even break through until after he hit 30.
right. Yeah, and he made his big push there until 33. um,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, very powerful. And it reminds me of the psychological trauma, that they do to the MK Ultra individuals. They're really causing fragmented personalities, like multi-personality disorder, when you have these separate um, realities that you act within, but you don't recall another like aspect of self, right? Because of the trauma that's occurred. That's,
Right.
yeah,
The the interesting thing about that is literally each and every one of us has that within us already, but to a much smaller degree. We have aspects of our personalities that we do that with.
yeah, right.
And it's all within the inner wounded child.
Mhm.
But we can look at it as like warring aspects of ourselves.
Yep, yep. The
Um,
high and low self, you
yeah,
know.
Teal Swan does a really great job about explaining like the fractured self with trauma.
Yes, love her video. Her content's so good.
So high vibration.
Super high five and very educational for just soaking up knowledge and remembrances of like, oh, that's exactly what's going on. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great mirror for like as you're working through this process of ascension and healing our inner child and and just becoming happier. As we lose this density, our vibe raises and we become happier people. We align to our desires, wishes, and wants, with more ease and grace. And that's the driving force, right? Like it's just to become lighter and clearer and more connected.
Yes, it's so true. And that brings up a point that we were talking about earlier. Like, I think one of the very first things we were talking about before we started recording, um, how okay, like we said before, we've been taught to seek our needs and from the outside, um, and also our evolution. And And what we were talking about, is that even though we may have access to that need on the outside, we cannot receive it unless we have first given it to ourselves, like on a energetic level. So, for example, you know, oh, I want love. I want romance. So I seek on the outside. I look on the outside. And even if it's there on the outside and someone is offering it to me, I'm not really going to trust it because I don't even know what it's like to receive it. But I've been seeking, but I'm still fixated on the outside looking for it. Like, story of my life up until recently, thank goodness. um, so giving whatever we desire, need to ourselves first will allow it to happen on the outside.
Right. Yeah. Cultivating that love within that um it's just a journey. Like the self-love journey coming the God, the road back to self is long and arduous at times, right? And then you take these leaps forward when we have these big understandings and these giant healings that occur within ourselves. We trust and allow, and then we're aligning with higher versions of ourselves and allowing the recognition of that, like love for ourselves, to just be more and more present, and not
Yeah.
like loving and recognizing that we honor ourselves. And then once we do that, then those around us will have a much easier time receiving and giving, because your frequency broadcasts out what your maybe expectations are. Like, my love of my frequency of self, I've cultivated. This is nothing less than this is what I'm going to accept. So it's like you're going to be like meeting where I'm at, and going to be loving me, or better, like higher, love or above kind of thing, right?
Yes, very well said.
Yeah, yeah, that frequency. Well, recently I just thought of the word, the phrase that a lot of us have heard, this "I am" phrase, you know, connecting to our like God source, our I am presence, and saying those words. Really, I had like kind of an epiphany the other day, thinking about the frequency of how words have power. And you're talking about the victim consciousness, that is global. They try to keep under control this consciousness, with words, with these negative, low frequency words that are broadcasted out to the masses. And then we become like entrained as we watch these words, and they entrain in our systems, in our fields. And then we embody those frequencies. But if you're on the other side of that, and you're only entraining yourself into your I am presence, the frequency of the words, I am, I found, are so high frequency. They're like the equivalent of love, I think. And because we're connecting into our source connection, it opens up our column of light, like an instant, um, connection. Like you say, I am, and then the floodgates open, I believe, to allow and ground into the earth all of our essence of who we are. It's so powerful.
I when you said that, I I mentally did that, and I totally felt it. I was like,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
and floodgate, and it does feel grounded too. Like it's putting us in the column of light, where
mhm,
we are connected, literally connected to heaven and earth.
yeah, right. And I think the more we all do this, the more we literally unplug from the matrix. The more
Ye-
we're aware of our innate connection to source, universe. You could use whatever word you want, but it's just a higher power. It's an energetic connection to the cosmos and to the center of the earth. And you do the breath of life, and it's very same. Like you're connecting in your breath into the cosmos and down to the earth, and that is the unified field, of our Merkaba.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you are absolutely right. Us focusing on that highest frequency actually dissipates that fear cloud of the mainstream that we're supposed to be in.
Yes.
It's been dismantling anyway, but the more we align with the highest, the faster that stuff breaks down.
Definitely. Yes, 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 yes. And this is like very self-loving and self-healing. And, we all raise our frequency one person at a time. We emanate out, we inspire others. Do
one
also
every
cultivate.
moment, one moment at a time, I
Yeah,
swear.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, gosh. And compassion, empathy for everyone along the path, right? Like
Absolutely.
gratefulness, infinite gratefulness to everyone on the path of becoming their highest version, you know.
Yes, it's not easy.
But it's getting easier as we just say yes, right?
Yes.
Say yes. And allow, trusting and allowing the process is key, and
Right.
not running from it, not hiding from it, not like checking out with drugs and alcohol. It's just a matter of like tuning in, not tuning out.
Absolutely. The power is completely in tuning within.
Yeah, yeah.
That just inspired me to do a version of the breath of life with trust and allow. On the in breath, breathing in through the channel, down, trust, and then exhaling, allow.
Yeah. Yeah, we could do that now. We could trust and allow, and like being in that allowed state will bring us into that I am presence.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. Total surrender.
yeah. So, do you want to guide us through that real fast? You want to do that really fast? It could be our healing at the end.
Sure. So, yeah, wherever you are, sitting, standing, laying, however you are, just get your spine as straight and tall as you can. And imagine that beautiful column of light that runs through our spine and all of our chakras. And we already talked about how it's connected to heaven uh, and earth, the heart of the cosmos and the heart of the earth. It does help to remember that. It makes my heart joyful. That's why I like to remember that. So in back in that beautiful column of light, um, on the in breath, we pull we pull energy through the column straight down in a vertical line, down to the heart of the earth on the in breath. And then on the out breath, we simply release it straight up and out of the crown to the heart of the cosmos. That's the basic mechanism of the breath of life. And it is very easy to add an intention such as trust and allow, with the in breath on the out breath. So I love in breath, thinking trust on the in breath, because the in breath is your body receiving life force energy. It's receiving everything we truly need. So trust. And then when we release the breath on the exhale, allow. Allow the release. Allow all the good to happen. Allow God to happen. Trust. Allow.
Yes, and saying I trust, I allow,
However,
or I
however,
am trust, or I am allow.
however resonates best for you. That's what I love. That's one thing I love about the breath of life, is that it's so personal and flexible and intuitional. Like whatever feels right, do it.
Yeah, yeah. That's a wonderful tool, and visually, it's very powerful.
Thank you.
And much of what I do with the cosmos is super similar, grounding into the earth, and then opening up the crown to receive all of our aspects.
Yeah, I
Very
think
powerful.
it's a mechanism that we've been designed with, and humanity has just forgotten about it. And I've got bits and pieces of it over the years, and I put it all together
Yeah.
to, find a really great tool.
Yeah. Yeah. It does really help us, you know, become the conduit of light by being in that breath.
Right, because it moves our energy, because movement, the flow is really everything, right? Moves the energy and just keeps that cycle of life,
Yep.
like the
Yep.
like the tides, like the moon.
Right. And that 0 point is also what occurred, just, zooming us right into 0 point with that breath and the intentions of the I am
Yeah,
present.
like
Yeah.
the Dantian point, right?
Yeah. Yes. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. And thank you so much for coming back and having a fun discussion.
Oh my gosh. It's been a pleasure and a joy and an honor. I love you.
All right. We'll see you next time.
All
Bye,
right.
everyone.
See you. Bye.